Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, we got to talk about how the saga continues. The infamous Ultimate Fallout 4 facsimile Black Flag Comics acetate cover. It's back. It's back in the news, and in this video, we're going to talk about it because there are a few CGC sales to talk about, and I think it's still really interesting, some of the grades that are going out there for this particular book, even with the updates from CGC. We're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about how the sales are actually comparing to Ultimate Fallout 4, the original first printing, and then overall talk about the character of Miles and where this is all going. But before I get into the video, if you guys could drop me a like or comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, helps support the channel, do one of those things, I would appreciate it. But let's get into this video here today. Now, of course, you guys all know the Black Flag Comics acetate book that came out, some months back. All the controversy surrounding it. Obviously, CGC had their update that they're going to be giving this book green labels from here on out due to the fact that the acetate cover was in fact stapled on after the fact. So they are going to notate it as having 2 extra staples on the label. And well, this past week, it looks like people are starting to get their acetate books back with those green labels. So I have a couple sales that I kind of wanted to share with you guys here. A shout out to Dave from Comic Book Investments. We did a video the other day on his channel, and we were talking about, this book and these couple sales. And it's pretty crazy to me that, this book is getting back now from CGC, and there's still a lot of demand, still interested people watching this thing. You can see this is just the eBay listed items right now. I'm going to dig into this in a second, but you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books right now currently listed. But that is in contrast to the 1, 2, 3, 4 books that actually sold just yesterday. So take a look at this here. This is pretty crazy. This Ultimate Fallout 4 Creighton Klein acetate signed by Nick Spencer. So remember, they said that they would be giving out these gold and green labels if in fact you still got your book signed. And to me, that was definitely an indication of like CGC acknowledging that, hey, the gold and green labels don't look as bad. So if you're somebody out there who wants to, maybe get your book signed, it won't look as bad and maybe prevent it from having that scarlet letter. But what's crazy to me about this is that beyond it getting signed by Nick Spencer, who, as you can see, signed it right there in red, this book actually still got the Gem Mint 10 grade. I do not understand how this book got a 10. That is crazy to me, because remember, CGC was saying how they were going to be updating their grading standards for the acetate books, and that they were going to be grading the entire book, not just the acetate cover. Because, when people were thinking that that one book had a Gen Mint 10, and then there were some other 9.9s, people were thinking, okay, the only way that that actually happened was because of the fact that, the acetate cover itself was the only thing being graded. And even CGC acknowledged that. But then they said that they were going to be grading the entire book. And here we have another 10.0. So somehow, miraculously, this book ended up getting graded a 10, which is crazy to me. I don't understand how this book can have so many high grade versions of itself, because I'm going to show you guys more instances that are, grades of this book above the 9.8 grade. But somebody instantly bought this for $3,000. $3,000, the very first Gem Mint 10 CGC green gold label that went for that price, a price that is actually higher than that of which, Ultimate Fallout #1 first print is actually selling for today, which is we're going to talk about at the end of the video. So that was the first sale. That was September 19th. Here you have another one that went at auction. This is also a 10.0 grade. So this is where it gets so confusing to me, that not only did you get the 10.0 with the signed one, there's another 10.0 that came out right here. So another book, presumably, that got a 10.0, not only just the acetate book, but also the actual interior book and the pages of the book itself and the cover of the actual book, et cetera, et cetera. Not to mention that this is not a book that was hot off the press, right? This was a book that actually, Black Flag had to hold for some time to then do the acetate, on top of it. And this one also got a 10, went for a live auction, selling at $1,126. A very strong sale for that. Now, I can't actually remember what the acetates books were selling for, the blue label versions of them. And we haven't seen that, 10.0 blue label go up for sale yet. I am still curious to see what that would sell for, but pretty crazy that people are willing to still pay $1,100 for what is technically a qualified book. Here you can see the 9.8 grade. This one going for $610 on an eBay auction, 43 bids. Definitely still a pretty strong showing for, what is effectively a facsimile qualified book, 9.8 grade. This $610 would basically be selling above that of 9.8s for the second print of Ultimate Fallout 4. So again, very, very crazy. I mean, this could just be one of those instances where there's a bunch of whale collectors who just really like to have all of the Miles Morales books. I know we like to do the game where it's like, oh, for $3,000, you could have actually bought, an Ultimate Fallout 4, but there's nothing to suggest that the person who bought this doesn't already have, like 5 copies of the actual first print. Maybe they're just a whale who wants to have every single Miles book. And then the fourth sale that actually happened here, one that was also signed by Nick Spencer right there, this one got a 9.8 grade, which again begs the question to me, like, how did this get a 9.8 grade versus the one that got a 10 and other ones I'm about to show you in a second here. But this one also sold for $750. So, basically, 150 more than what the 9.8 counterpart would be based on the fact that it has the Nick Spencer signature. Definitely pretty crazy that people want to spend their money on this type of thing, even with all of the negative PR that surrounds it. But let's go here into the kind of the listed items. And this is still kind of what I want to show you guys, where I think this is still so crazy, is that you have all these books being listed. Here's another 9.8 signed, another 9.8 signed, another 9.8. Here you have another 9.9. Like, for some reason, this one got a 9.9 white pages. And this is where I start to wonder, like, is CGC like protecting the brand or protecting their decision to give out these 10s and these 9.9s? Here you have 1, 2, 3 other 9.9s that are listed. One is a signed one here for $2,500. Here's another signed one here for $2,500. And then here's a live auction that's going on right now, currently at $77. And this is a 9.9 with the green label. And so, this is where I'm so like baffled by this, where it's like, CGC gave out this very special 10.0 and 9.9. And then they acknowledged the fact that, like, oh, from here on out, we're going to make sure that we grade not only the acetate book, but also the book itself. And you just have to wonder, are they thinking to themselves, we probably should give out a few extra 9.9s and 10s of this book in order to kind of, double down on the fact that we gave it a 10 and a 9.9 previously. Because if they came out now and they only gave 9.8s, that would kind of have them acknowledge the fact that, yes, they were being lazy and they only graded the acetate book. Maybe they're like doubling down on this, or they're backing up their worth on this. They want to get out 9.9s or 10.0s just to sort of lower the census count for those previous ones that were graded. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, do you think that these books are just legitimately 9.9s and 10.0s? It's just like that easy to get. It seems like, the 9.9s, every 1 in 3 is a 9.9 at this point. What do you guys think is going on with that? So it's super interesting overall, and definitely very curious to see where this goes. I mean, obviously we're starting to get a lot of these books back from CGC, or the people that did submit their graded copies. So it'll be curious to see, as we get more inventory, is there still going to be demand that keeps the floor price up for this? I kind of doubt it. I feel like there's only going to be a handful of buyers that are interested in getting this book right now. And then, a month from now or a few weeks from now, it'll start to die down again. But, if the blue label ever goes up for sale, that would be one to watch out for, especially that 10.0, to see if there's one person out there that wants that book for flex reasons. But with that out of the way, I did want to talk a little bit about the Ultimate Fallout book as well, the original one, the first printing one, because the prices for that one are really starting to tank. And I thought that was very interesting. It felt like this was something that was going to happen eventually with this book. I mean, at this point, the Miles Morales kind of cover and style and like all of the various printings of it are so, oversaturated out there in the market for a book that is already, a modern book that has a decent sizable print count. And I did kind of want to just show you guys kind of what's going on with the current sales for this. Of course, Ultimate Fallout number 4, the original printing of this one. This is a book that has 13,421 on the current census, and fair market value is 2,100, which is a lot less than what it was going for. This was a book that previously was selling above the $3,000 range, and you can just kind of take a look at the graph and see this one very much on the decline. Now, I haven't yet done a Copper Age and a Modern Age index, and I'm very curious to try one for those because I want to know if these particular eras of books have corrected a lot harder than the Bronze and Silver Age. I would think that they would, because the census count typically for these types of books is a lot higher. So that's always going to create downward pressure. If there are people who are willing to sell their book and there's not enough people who are willing to hold it at a certain floor value, then that's ultimately going to push the price down. But you can see right here, last couple sales, 2,000, 2,100, 2,075, 23, 2,270. Definitely a big, difference from what it was selling at its height. I mean, you can see even a yearly high for this one in 2022 was $44.99. I mean, that, I don't know if that was like a newsstand copy or what the deal with that one is, but that is a really high sale. And even in 2021, you could see this book was selling for $3,840, quite a lot of money. Maybe this has to do with the fact that, the movie has been pushed out and, people are just not as excited for Into the Spider-Verse #2, at least not until we get to it next year. That could be the thing that drives it up. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was Invincible Iron Man #9, another modern book that I kind of equate to the UF4 one. I mean, granted, this one is a few years later, but you guys know this book, the first full appearance of Riri Williams, and another book that is definitely correcting quite a bit at the modern side of things. And it's interesting because this is a character, obviously, who is, presumably going to be as, famous as they will be in pop culture very, very soon. She's going to make her debut in the Black Panther film. She's going to have her Disney Plus show at some point next year. But this is a book, as you can see from this graph right here, really, really taking a nosedive. The yearly high sale for this was around the $1,000 range. But the last couple sales you can see are $460, $540, $381. So definitely selling, at times lower than half of what the record price once was for this particular book. And that's something that I think, is just kind of interesting to talk about, with what's going on and tying it a little bit back to, the Black Flag acetate cover. It just feels like the print count for a lot of these characters, a lot of these books is just simply too high. It's never going to be able to live up to that, demand that is out there in the market. I mean, these characters have to be so immensely popular that there's going to be, tons and tons of collectors, thousands and thousands of collectors that want to hold their book more than being able to get, the price of that book for $1,000 or in the Miles book, $3,000. You're going to need these people with diamond hands in order to keep the floor values up for these things, simply due to the print count. And because there's so many variant covers and other, first issues and other, interesting books to own for these characters, a lot of people are feeling like they don't need the first appearance to, have a appreciation for the character. They can own some other book that brings them joy. And that creates a lot of this downward pressure on these, original first appearances and things like that. So anyways, that was all I have for this video. That was me just kind of giving you guys a little bit of an update, a little bit of a market report. The saga continues with that book. What do you think about the acetate book? What do you think about CGC giving out more 10s and 9.9s? I think it's a really interesting thing. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next video.